Hello students, let us understand today one apparatus in our unit number 3 magnetism. The apparatus name is moving coil galvanometer. Okay, moving coil galvanometer. Now because it is an apparatus, so mainly we are going to understand this topic under the different subheadings like introduction, principle, diagram, working, derivation, uses, conversions. So these are the headings which we are going to study one by one. So let us start. By the name moving coil galvanometer, the word is clear that it is galvanometer. That means it is the apparatus which is used to detect the current. Okay. Now important point is here that it is only detecting the current. Detecting the current means it is not going to measure the current like ammeter does. It is only going to verify the presence of the current. That means in any part of the circuit the current is present or not, that is found out by galvanometer's connection. Okay, so you must have seen that in the circuits we connect the galvanometer like this. Galvanometer symbol is one G capital is written inside a circle. So galvanometer apparatus symbol is this. So its purpose is only to detect the presence of the current and also the direction of the current. Okay, now how does it work, that we need to understand. So first of all, the principle. So principal statement is this. In short, you can remember this technique. I plus B equal to torque, and torque gives rise to deflection angle phi. Now actually what happens, that is written in detail, but this learning technique will help you to remember the statement. So principle is, when a current carrying coil, that means I, is placed in uniform magnetic field B, that means B. So I plus B combination we have shown. Then the coil experiences the torque. Okay, the resultant is the torque, and due to this torque means the turning effect. So due to this torque, the coil deflects by some angle. So finally we have to prove also that current is proportional to deflecting angle. Both are proportional. So we can write I is proportional to phi also in the principle. So I'll just repeat the statement with the help of this equation. When a current carrying coil is placed in magnetic field B, then it experiences the torque, and due to which it deflects, and I and phi are proportional to each other. Okay, so in this simple manner we will learn the principle of moving coil galvanometer. Now to understand its actual working, that from where the torque came and how it happened that it deflected. Okay, so we need to understand it with the help of this diagram. So let us start this diagram. So our third heading will be the diagram. Now in the diagram, that means in the internal circuitry of the galvanometer, see this is galvanometer drawn in short, that means it is the circuit symbol. Now actually inside this galvanometer, this whole circuitry is there. Now it's not difficult to remember. One coil we have to take ABCD, in which we can show number of turns. Like the wire is starting from here, then this is turning in form of rectangle, then again we can show one more turn, like that. All the turns are of equal area. Okay, so one spring is also attached with the coil's another end, and then it is connected to the support. Here also support is there. One mirror is also connected, so that we can see the front view of the coil, we can judge it. Now north pole and south pole are taken to produce the magnetic field. But you can notice one thing here, that these poles are in the concave shaped. They are cut in concave. This shape is called concave shaped. Now what is the purpose of concave shaped poles? That it provides always the uniform magnetic field. Okay, for this I'll explain you with the help of the north pole south pole magnetic field See, this is only the part of the magnet. North pole is only shown. Monopole does not exist, but we have here taken the full magnet, but north pole we want this side facing the coil, and here of the whole magnet we want the south pole facing the coil. So now it's like this. Of this magnet we have taken north pole only, and of this magnet we have taken south pole only. We have not broken the magnets. Okay, we have only utilized these two poles facing each other. Now you see, when these poles are straight, then the magnetic field lines are curved. Okay, like this. But we don't want the curved magnetic field lines, we want the straight magnetic field lines. So what we have done for achieving this thing, these cuts have been made in the poles so that the magnetic field lines which are arising, that are parallel to each other. And you must be knowing already, outside the magnet, the magnetic field lines are from north to south. So that's why from north to south the magnetic field lines are going. Okay, so let us proceed to its working now. Whenever we take a current carrying coil, that means I should flow, okay, in the coil. Suppose an I is flowing in the coil, so current is flowing in this whole coil, and then magnetic field is also present with the help of these two poles. Then we know already, due to the I plus B combination, okay, due to I plus B combination, always the force is experienced. So here, because there are four sides, AB, BC, CD and DA, so all the four sides will experience forces. This we have already completed in the torque heading, torque on coil. So here also all the four sides of the coil will experience forces, F1, F2, F3, F4, and directions of these forces are found out by Fleming's left hand rule. The forces direction we can show in the diagram. F1 force is upward, F2 force is normally outward, F3 force is downward, and F4 force is normally inwards. So we can show F2 and F4 by dot and cross also. Okay, dot and cross also. So overall the situation is F1 and F3. Okay, F1 and F3 are equal and opposite. F1 and F3 are equal and opposite. Now the magnitudes we are not solving in the moving coil galvanometer. These magnitudes we have already solved in the torque heading. So here also the little discussion is only required. Detailed is not required. So you can say that F1 and F3 forces are equal and opposite, and they are along the same line. So they are along the same line. So they cancel. And what about F2 and F4? As we have discussed before also, F2 is normally out in this line and F4 is at that edge normally inwards. So the line of the working of these two forces is different. They are equal and opposite, but their line is different. That's why they don't cancel. They make a torque. And that's why this coil is experiencing a torque. Now the meaning of the torque is turning. So what will happen? Whenever a current carrying coil is placed in the magnetic field B, then out of the four forces, two will cancel and two will make torque, and due to the torque the coil will turn. So suppose the coil was placed initially like this, it will turn. Okay, so this turning we will be seeing it on the window of the scale of galvanometer. Okay, this turning only we will see. So, after this introduction and principle, this diagram we are keeping here only, and I am proceeding now to working steps which we have discussed. So our revision will also take place of the working, and let us see how this I and phi will come proportional in the next sheet. So note down till principle. Now let us discuss the working with these steps one by one. So the revision will take place. working will start this way. As a current carrying coil is placed in B, that means magnetic field B, then all the four sides experience forces F1, F2, F3, F4 as we can show in the diagram. Now F1 and F3 being equal and opposite and in the same line cancel each other. So this is that line, and F2 and F4 being in different line. They are equal and opposite but they are in different line. So that's why these two forces constitute a torque. So resultant is the torque, due to which the coil deflects by some angle. So deflecting angle phi we can call. Okay, now till here we have discussed already. Now what will happen? The coil was like this, it will deflect as soon as the current and magnetic field is present. So what will happen? Initially till the time no current is there, the coil may be like this. But as soon as the current starts flowing, magnetic field is all the time present on the two sides of the coil. Coil will deflect like this. Now here the role of spring starts. Why the spring is connected? Because spring provides a restoring torque. What happens to the spring? If the coil is turned, so this spring will get a twist, and in that condition it is unstable. So the coil wants to come back to its original position. So if the coil is like this, so the spring attached to it has got a twist. So spring always wants to come back to original position. So coil will be brought back to its position original by this spring. Now how this spring will bring it back? So spring will apply a restoring torque. Okay, K phi is the formula of restoring torque. Now I'll take the help of the restoring force formula in the linear motion. We have discussed in 11th about Hooke's law of elasticity. When a unstretched spring, the spring is like this. Suppose this spring is loaded with some force F, so it gets stretched. So this extension is called what? X. So whatever force we have applied, that is proportional to the extension. Okay, they are proportional. More we apply the force, more is the extension produced. So if we remove the proportional sign, then K comes, Kx. Okay, F equal to Kx comes. And we can attach a minus sign also, because this, if we attach it a minus sign, then we will call it restoring force. That means फोर्स लगाने से स्प्रिंग एक्सटेंड हुई थी. अब अगर फोर्स रिमूव कर दिया तो स्प्रिंग अपने आप वापस ऊपर जाएगी. वो क्यों हुआ? बिकॉज रीस्टोरिंग फोर्स इज एप्लीकेबल ऑन इट अपोजिट, माइनस साइन मीन्स अपोजिट टू द एक्सटेंशन. So in the same manner, this is the case of linear extension. In the same manner, we can apply this formula for rotational case. Okay. Thus for the rotational case, we have to replace the linear force with the rotational force. So we will replace F by torque. Okay. Minus sign we can leave for the direction it is. K is a constant still, and in place of linear displacement we are writing the angular displacement phi. So this way restoring torque formula is prepared. This is restoring force and this is restoring torque formula, K phi. So what will happen? Due to this spring, the coil will come back to its original position. Okay, because of restoring torque. Now at balance we have to equate the deflecting torque with the restoring torque. So which factors applied the deflecting torque? That was this I plus B combination. Whenever current flows in the coil in presence of the magnetic field B, then the coil deflects, and this torque is called deflecting torque. Okay, till this step. And once the coil was deflected, it will be brought back to original position by the spring. So restoring torque and deflecting torque we equate. Down these steps of working, and I will prove with this equation in the next sheet. I and phi are proportional. Okay. Now at balance, deflecting torque and restoring torque we have to equate. Now deflecting torque formula will be what? This we have already proved, NIAB sin theta. So we have to use the maximum torque on that coil. So NIAB we will be using, I means current. Now restoring torque we have used K phi. Now you know that we have to get the relation between current and angle, deflecting angle. So here we have to keep I alone, and these NAB terms we will shift down. So K upon NAB phi will be on the right side. Now you can see, since all these terms are constants because N is the number of turns, A is the area of coil, B is the magnetic field, and K is the spring constant. So because once the moving coil galvanometer apparatus is prepared, all these infrastructure constants are fixed. They cannot be changed. So these all terms are constants. That's why removing this constant we can write the proportional sign. So this way we have proved that current and deflecting angle are proportional. Meaning is, more we pass the current in the galvanometer, more will be the deflection of the pointer on the scale. Actually the deflection of the coil. Okay, so now I'll take a simple circuit to explain this concept. Suppose we have a battery and a simple circuit, that means only resistance and galvanometer we have connected. So galvanometer's purpose is to detect the current. Now what will happen? Initially, when no current is there in the circuit, suppose we connect a key also in the circuit. So initially when this key was open, no current was there in the circuit. So galvanometer shows the zero deflection. So this is the scale of the galvanometer. It shows zero deflection. This is the pointer and this is the scale. Now as soon as we close the key, closing the key means this way. As soon as we close the key, then current will start flowing from the positive of the battery. So current will flow. Some magnitude of the current will flow. Now what will happen? In this galvanometer, this is only the symbol shown of the galvanometer. Actual circuitry we have just now seen that one coil ABCD will be present in the magnetic field. So as soon as the current will enter in the coil of the galvanometer, because of the battery, so current will enter. Magnetic field is already present. So the coil will experience torque and that coil will deflect. So that deflection we see here on the scale of the galvanometer used with the help of this pointer. So the pointer will come to some reading. So this way, instead of 0, it will show some reading. So this is called deflection of the pointer. Why this pointer has deflected? Because actually in the internal circuitry of galvanometer, the coil has deflected. So with that coil, pointer is also connected, which we see outside on the window of this apparatus. In the same manner, if we increase the battery, suppose we double the battery value, voltage value, current will also double. So the pointer will also come to the double deflection. So this way, more the current will pass, more will be the deflection shown on the pointer. And secondly, the direction of current can also be judged. In this case, battery positive is here, so current is flowing this way. So the pointer is forced, if this is 0 of the pointer, if the current is flowing this way, so pointer will be pushed that side. But in case if I connect the batteries positive here, so current should come here, then the pointer should deflect on opposite side. So that's why both the side of the galvanometer, the scale is shown, 0 is in the center. This is unlike ammeter and voltmeter. In the ammeter and voltmeter, the 0 is on one side, left side. And then the scale runs 10, 20, 30 like that. Okay, so this is the difference in the scale also of galvanometer with other apparatus. Now we have to understand the sensitivity and accuracy in the next sheet. Now students, about this galvanometer we have to understand sensitivity and accuracy. Two almost similar words are appearing, but we need to understand the difference. So sensitivity and accuracy. See students, any apparatus is said to be sensitive if it is able to read the smallest possible reading. Okay, so smallest reading, if the apparatus can read, that means more sensitive it is. So sensitivity is related to the minimum possible reading which the apparatus can read. Now there are two types of sensitivities of the galvanometer: current sensitivity and voltage sensitivity. We will be using now galvanometer for voltage also. In the coming video you will understand that. So just now there are two types of sensitivities. Deflection per unit current, that means phi by I, is current sensitivity, and deflection per unit voltage, that means phi by V, is voltage sensitivity. Formulas are not difficult to remember: phi upon I and phi upon V. Now this is the basic formula. Now how to get that, on what factors these sensitivities will depend? So for that, just now we have proved that I equal to K phi upon NAB. Okay, this relation we have proved just now. So using this relation only we will make phi upon I. So phi is already here, I we will shift down. So this NAB upon K will go that side. That's why phi upon I is NAB upon K. Okay, NAB upon K. And voltage sensitivity phi upon V. So V means IR, and phi by I value we have already got here, NAB upon K, only this R is extra. Now the meaning of this derivation is that what factors can increase the sensitivity? What should we prefer for increasing the sensitivity of our apparatus? So you can see we will be wanting number of turns, area of the coil, magnetic field to be more, so that sensitivity becomes more. But we will be wanting the K, spring constant K, should be less. So we will always prefer that wire whose spring constant is less, so that sensitivity is more, because it is coming in denominator. Okay. Now another term is accuracy. Now students, accuracy and sensitivity are not same. Accuracy is related to the error. If any apparatus is giving minimum error in its readings, then it is said to be accurate. So you understand the difference very clearly. Sensitivity is related to smallest possible reading which the apparatus can read, and accuracy is related to, in that readings, error should be minimum. So this way the apparatus is said to be accurate if it gives minimum error. So any kind of error we can use here. So for galvanometer we use relative error. So delta I upon I should be minimum, so that our apparatus is accurate. Okay, so here we have understood the detail of galvanometer, theoretical detail. Now in the next video we will understand conversion of galvanometer to ammeter and voltmeter. Okay.